Drones are everywhere these days, aren't they? I mean, from essential deliveries to amazing aerial photos. But sometimes, yeah, sometimes they're hovering maybe a little too close for comfort.
Right.
And that's really where our deep dive kicks off today. If a drone is buzzing where it absolutely shouldn't be, well, what do you actually do?
It's a fair question, and what lots of people are asking as this tech just keeps racing ahead. And for some, surprisingly, maybe the answer involves a shotgun.
A shotgun, exactly. Specifically, this product called Skynet. Yeah, you heard that right, like the movie. So today, we're going to get through all the hype and really dive deep into a real-world test of these, well, let's say, intriguing and honestly pretty controversial anti-drone shotgun shells.
Yeah, definitely controversial.
Our mission here is simple. Look past the marketing, see if they actually work as claimed, and figure out the practical side of using them. What's the reality?
And by the end, you'll get the key facts. You know, how they're designed, how they actually perform side by side with other options, and what their existence kind of means for drone tech and security overall.
You'll get the real story, not just the shiny brochure version.
So what's fascinating right off the bat, even before the shells themselves, is the company that makes them, their background.
Oh, yeah.
They also make, get this, pre-seasoned Cajun barbecue duck shot.
Wait, what? Barbecue duck shot and anti-drone tech. Well, that's quite the combination.
It certainly sets a tone, doesn't it? A bit unconventional for this kind of product.
Does that make you immediately skeptical? Or just really curious about what's going on inside those shells?
Yeah.
Because the first thing that jumped out, even before the testing, was the price.
Oh, yeah, the cost.
They're talking almost $20 for just 3 shells. That works out to what, nearly $7 a shot?
$7. Yeah, that's steep. Very steep for ammunition.
Definitely not something you're casually plinking with. And actually, speaking of cost, we absolutely have to thank a listener, John Koopa. He was incredibly generous.
Right.
He actually funded this whole test, sent us 2 packs of these Skynet shells. Without him, honestly, this deep dive just wouldn't be happening.
That's fantastic. It really is an investment, that price. And, you know, what you're paying for is quite a unique design inside.
Okay, so what's actually in there?
Well, the projectile isn't just shot. It's 5 separate metallic bits, like little weights, and each one is tied to its own string.
5 weights on strings. Huh. What are they made of?
The material is listed as beryllium. Now, the testers, they kind of figured that's likely just a fancy marketing word for an alloy, probably, you know, basic pot metal.
Beryllium. Okay. Sounds high-tech. Maybe isn't.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the shell?
It uses a Fouquet-primed hull, which is, well, just a known type of casing. Pretty standard, good quality stuff, usually. But the weird part was the top, the crimp.
The crimp?
Yeah, it had this mangled up roll crimp, they called it, you know, the bit that holds everything in. If that looks messy, it sometimes hints at maybe less than perfect quality control could affect how it fires.
Okay, so a fancy name for the metal, but a dodgy-looking seal.
Interesting. And the payload weight? Was it light?
Actually, no. Surprisingly heavy.
pretty
It
cool.
clocked in at 1.81 ounces. That's over 51 grams. Quite hefty for a shotgun shell payload.
Wow. Okay. And here's where it gets even stranger, right? The packaging.
Oh, yeah. The box art. It clearly shows 6 weights fanning out. But when you open it up, the actual shell's inside. Only 5 weights.
Hold on. 6 on the box, 5 in the shell. They can't even get the count right on their own packaging.
Apparently not.
What does that signal about attention to detail? Especially for something they're marketing for, you know, security.
It definitely raises an eyebrow, especially when you look at their performance claims. They say it's effective from just 10 feet all the way out to 300 feet. That's 100 yards.
100 yards. And they claim a speed of 1,000 feet per second. But, okay, think about it practically. For you, holding the shotgun in a real situation, can you actually judge if that drone is 50 feet away or 150 feet away? Or how fast it's really moving?
No way. Not accurately. Be a total guess, especially under pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult. And to get good at it, you'd need a lot of practice. Very expensive practice with these $7 shells.
Right. What are you even shooting at for practice? Clay pigeons? Doesn't seem right. Old drones? Who has those lying around?
It highlights a huge practical problem right there.
So the theory sounds, well, ambitious.
Yeah,
But the real world is often different. They needed to test it.
absolutely. So they set up a proper test. The team involved Officer Greg and another guest shooter, Kyle, also a cop.
Okay. And the targets?
Their first targets were affectionately called Jazzy Tennessee drones, basically homemade things from cardboard and straws, flimsy stuff.
Gotcha. Cardboard drones
Mm.
and the weather.
Oh, it was challenging. Described as a bright, windy California day. Anyone who shoots knows wind is a major factor.
For sure. So how did the Skynet do? First shot.
First up, 25 yards. They used a rifle choke in the shotgun, which is meant to help spread those weights out.
Okay, makes sense.
And the first shot, well, it hit the cardboard target. The deployment looked okay. The strings fanned out, but the observers right away said it looked pretty slow.
Slow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did it, like, shred the cardboard?
And here's the kicker. Absolutely zero damage to the flimsy cardboard. None. And the strings didn't tangle up or anything, which is supposedly how it's meant to work.
No damage. From a $7 anti-drone round.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. That's underwhelming. But they kept testing.
They did. Another shot later, also at 25 yards, showed a decent spread, about a 5-foot radius. And that one did manage to clip a couple of the propellers on the cardboard drone.
Oh, okay. So some contact.
Yeah, and the testers thought that specific hit probably would have brought down a real drone. So maybe a little glimmer of hope there if everything lines up perfectly.
A very specific if. Were there misses or malfunctions too?
Oh, definitely. They had shots where the shell just didn't deploy right at all. It flew kind of wonky, as they put it. And even when it hit, often just very minimal damage to the cardboard.
So inconsistent at best.
Very. They actually recovered one projectile. It ended up in a tree about 75 yards away across some water. And get this, only 4 of the 5 weights were still attached.
Huh. Lost one mid-flight? What did the recovered one look like?
Well, the weights themselves had a complex shape, apparently, and the string was described as some kind of Kevlar construction type. But even finding that round just reinforced the point still. Very minimal damage potential.
Okay, so 25 yards seems pretty hit or miss, mostly miss in terms of actual effect. What about closer? Did they try at really close range?
They did. They figured out pretty quickly these things decelerate fast. They lose a lot of energy beyond, say, 25, maybe 40 yards. They just run out of steam.
Right, so maybe point blank works. What about 10 yards?
At 10 yards, against the cardboard target. Finally, some noticeable damage. It actually managed to tear the cardboard a bit.
Finally.
Yeah.
At 10 yards. Okay. But cardboard isn't a real drone.
Exactly. So then they brought out an actual plastic consumer drone, the kind you might actually see.
10 yards, Skynet versus plastic drone.
The drone, quote, just kind of laughs at this round.
Laughs at it. Seriously.
Pretty much. The strings apparently just sheared right off when they hit the plastic body, caused no real damage at all. One string maybe kind of wrapped around a motor, but not enough to stop it or disable it.
Wow. So even up close against a real target, it just fails.
That test was pretty damning, yeah. Big difference between flimsy cardboard and sturdy plastic.
And what about the shotgun barrel? Did that matter?
Mm.
The manufacturer mentioned specific types, right?
Yeah, they recommend using a cylinder or improved cylinder bore. Those are standard choke types that allow for a wider shot spread. But when the testers actually used a smooth cylinder bore barrel,
What happened?
the spread was terrible. Really poor pattern. They said hitting anything with that setup would be sheer luck. So it seems you really need that specific rifled choke they used initially to even get a chance of it deploying somewhat correctly.
Okay, so it's expensive, inconsistent, doesn't do much damage even up close to a real drone, and needs a specific choke setup. This isn't sounding great.
Not exactly a ringing endorsement, no. Which naturally leads to the next question.
How does it stack up against just, normal shotgun shells?
Exactly. So they did a comparison. First, they tried standard number 4 birdshot, common stuff. Same 25-yard distance, same cardboard drone target.
Dan?
The number 4 shot gave quite good coverage, lots of pellet hits. The testers concluded it would have effectively taken down this drone.
The 25-cent birdshot worked better than the $7 Skynet. Okay, what else did they try?
They tried military-grade double-aught buckshot, bigger pellets, more power.
Buckshot, yeah.
That gave better impact, naturally, with numerous hits. Clearly more effective than the Skynet round, though. As you'd expect, buckshot's effective range for good patterning is usually shorter, maybe around 50 yards or so.
Still, better performance within its range. Any other comparisons?
Yeah, they looked at some more advanced stuff, too. Buckshot loaded with a special flight control wad.
Oh, right, those wads that keep the pellets tighter for longer.
Exactly. Designed to extend the effective range and give much tighter groups. Pellets hitting dead center. That kind of tech makes buckshot much more viable against a smaller moving target like a drone at distance.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And was there a heavy hitter option?
Yeah. They brought out something called a longbeard shell, described as a beast of a shell.
Blue beast.
Yeah, a big 3-inch shell packed with 1 and 34 ounces of shot. It uses copper-plated shot and some kind of buffer material to stop the pellets getting deformed. Basically, designed for maximum downrange energy and tight patterns.
So something like that would, well, it would obliterate a drone, presumably.
Absolutely, highly destructive. A completely different league of effectiveness compared to Skynet.
Okay, so performance-wise, traditional ammo seems way better. Now, let's talk cost again. This is crucial.
It really puts it all in perspective. Let's line them up. Skynet, roughly $7 per shell.
$7, okay.
That powerful long-beard shell, around $2 per shell.
$2, quite a drug.
Standard buckshot, maybe $1 per shell, give or take.
$1.
And that number 4 birdshot that worked pretty well on the cardboard, about 25 cents per shell.
25 cents.
Mm.
Wow, so let me get this straight. For the price of one Skynet anti-drone shell,
You could buy an entire 25-round box of birdshot.
that just says it all, doesn't it? The economics are completely skewed. It highlights just how inefficient and, frankly, questionable the value proposition is here.
It really does. You're paying a massive premium for a highly specialized round that seems to underperform compared to much, much cheaper standard options.
It seems like a case study in maybe over-engineering something that doesn't quite deliver.
Which brings us to maybe the most important point of all. If these shells are so expensive and they don't really work that well, who are they actually for?
And this is where the legal side becomes absolutely critical. We have to stress this. It is not legal for a civilian, just a regular person, to shoot down a drone, period. Even if it's right over your own house, your own property.
That's huge. So all the scenarios of protecting your backyard from a keeping drone, legally, you can't just shoot it down anyway, regardless of what ammo you use.
Correct. Federal law treats drones as aircraft, and shooting at aircraft is a serious federal offense.
Okay. So if it's illegal for Joe Public, then who is buying these $7 shells? What's the intended market? Well, the sources doing the testing suggested the likely customers are official agencies. Think maybe the Air Force for base security, perhaps Border Patrol dealing with surveillance or smuggling drones,
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
and potentially correctional facilities. Prisons have a growing problem with drones being used to drop contraband phones, drugs, weapons into the yards.
Right, I've read about that. So institutions, government agencies.
Exactly. And that connects right back to the price tag. These are organizations with, big budgets. They might be able to justify spending $7 a shell for a very niche situation.
Maybe where they want to disable rather than obliterate? Or where stray buckshot is a bigger concern?
Potentially. Maybe the idea of the strings entangling is preferable in some scenarios, even if the tests show it doesn't really work well. It fits a very specific institutional need, perhaps, not a general consumer one.
So let's wrap this up. What have we really learned here today? We've taken this deep dive into the Skynet anti-drone shells.
And we've seen that, well, while the design is unique, maybe even a bit odd.
Like the barbecue duckshot odd?
Yeah, kinda. Their real-world effectiveness, especially hitting anything tough like a real drone, or hitting anything reliably at distance, it seems highly questionable. Really quite poor, actually.
And then you add in that massive cost, nearly $7 a pop.
Hmm.
And crucially, the fact that it's illegal for most people to even use them for their implied purpose.
Right.
The picture becomes pretty clear, doesn't it? These are not some magic bullet point-and-shoot solution. They're not practical, likely not effective, and definitely not legal for civilian drone defense.
Exactly. So, considering how limited these shells seem to be, the legal problems, and how fast drone tech itself is moving, making them smaller, faster, tougher,
Oh, yeah.
this whole deep dive really points to something bigger. It tells us that dealing with drone issues effectively in the future probably needs way more sophisticated thinking than just, grabbing a shotgun.
So it's not about finding the right shell.
Probably not. It's likely more about detection systems, jamming technology, maybe even specific regulations and policies. It really makes you wonder, if we're serious about addressing drone misuse, where should we actually be focusing our efforts and innovation? It's definitely a more complex problem than just point and shoot.